AI is now a macro force. Talk us through that. I mean, give us a perspective on this sort of trickle-down economics we're seeing from all this CapEx.
I don't know if I'd use the term trickle-down economics, but the way to understand it is disruptive technologies like AI, you get paid macroeconomically 4 times as they proliferate through the economy. The first time is on the accelerated rate of investment. Look at the mega cap tech companies that previously were sitting on cash. They're now using that cash to build data centers. Those data centers employ people who have to dig up the ground and install all the equipment. And then we think that the return on that invested capital is much higher than in other uses. So I think, you were talking about the CoreWeave quarter. I think the street is massively under forecasting the return on invested capital potential in infrastructure as a service specifically right now. So you get an accelerated rate of return. You get higher yields. Then you get paid again when you displace or you create market activity that didn't previously exist. Think about driving. We're about to enter a universe of robo-taxis where robo-taxis will drive us around. Right now, we spend 99% of our driving miles doing so manually. It's a waste of our beautiful human brains. And so we're going to be willing to pay robo-taxi services to offload that. And that'll free us up, the fourth way we get paid, to do other things. Maybe that's consuming Netflix or watching TikTok, or maybe it's creating a new business. And so we think that the initial stages of macroeconomic growth driven by disruptive technology, which we're seeing today in data center investments, is just the first in a 4-step process that'll accelerate the macroeconomic growth rate.
Oh, I hope for the future of our children it's not watching TikTok with that downtime that we have. But as we talk about AI now being a macroeconomic force, Brett, what is the single economic statistic that you think is already being changed by AI?
Well, you can already see it in capital formation and CapEx. At a micro level, you can see that firms that are more heavily indexed to using AI are hiring more employees. So at the individual firm level, I think there's this false narrative that AI is going to eliminate jobs. It's actually the entire opposite, where firms that are using AI are finding more ways to provision services to end customers. And so they need more people on board to effectively harness these tools. And so I think you will see over the course of this decade, real GDP growths in excess of 7% annualized by 2030. So we're going to see an inflection in growth, the likes of which we haven't seen since the introduction of electrification, telephony, and the internal combustion engine at the turn of the 1900s. So this is going to be a transformation in macroeconomic activity that we'll experience over the course of this decade. And it's the perfect market time for this to happen because people are so skeptical of even the marginal data center yielding a return. So I think it's a great setup for equity investors.
Brett, the firm took advantage of yesterday's brief dip in Nvidia's shares off the back of that announcement and loaded up on some more. I'm just wondering what you made of the news of the day. Jensen Huang obviously talking about chips becoming a new asset class to invest in, and obviously some new check writers now in town.
Yeah, I think that the world is massively short compute. Like, we need a lot more of this stuff. One way to think about it, people are skeptical of this cycle. Right now, a little more than 20% of smartphone users are using AI chatbots like ChatGPT just for asking questions. And roughly, we think 2 to 5% of knowledge workers are actually using agentic tools like Codex and Claude Code. And so 21% or low 20% penetration is the same spot we were in internet penetration in 1996. That was 2 years before Google was even incorporated and founded. And 1 to 5% penetration, that's where we were in 1990 during the internet boom. So before the browser was even something that people were aware of. So we think we're very early in this cycle. And as more users come on board to use AI, as knowledge workers fully kind of figure out how to use agents on their behalf, we're going to see screaming compute demand. In fact, we think trillions of dollars in demand by 2030. And so that'll drive demand for NVIDIA's chips and AMD's chips and AWS's services and CoreWeave services. I think people are really underestimating the scale of what's about to occur.
And Brett, with the inflation data coming our way tomorrow, Sam and I have been talking about inflation all day, and especially in the broader conversation of the Fed. I'd love to get your thoughts on if you view AI and AI productivity as eventually being deflationary or inflationary.
Sure. I mean, AI in the knowledge workspace, clearly people are using it to do more. I think in the embodied space, so think robo-taxis and humanoid robots, that'll clearly collapse the cost of doing certain things, just getting around town. Right now, we think at maturity, robo-taxis on a cash cost basis, the cost of provisioning that service will be less than the marginal cost of you driving a car that you've already bought and fully paid off. And so you'll be willing to pay more than that because you're saving time by doing so, but it means the cost of getting around from place to place will collapse. Now you would think, hey, that actually suppresses in demand. Not so, because when the cost of things collapse, particularly in technology, people use a lot more of them. Think of all of the things where your kid wants to go to the movies or visit a friend's and you're like, I can't drive you all the way over there. I'm not going to do that. If you can stick the kid in a robo-taxi for an inexpensive per mile price, you'll happily do it. So we think there'll be an explosion in economic activity that's associated with these declining costs.
The use of cash flow by Jensen Huang's company is one aspect of Nvidia's explosive growth that is frequently disregarded. Nvidia's free cash flow for the fiscal year that ended in February 2023 was just $3.8 billion. However, Nvidia's earnings and cash flow skyrocketed as its graphics processing units became essential chips for businesses beginning to develop artificial intelligence infrastructure. Nvidia's FCF changes are depicted in the following chart, per macro trends. Nvidia, which is currently the biggest publicly traded corporation in the world based on market capitalization, is searching for clever ways to spend that vast sum of money. For example, it has invested at least $6.5 billion in businesses creating photonics technology, including $500 million for Corning and $2 billion each for Lumentum, Coherent Corporation, and Marvell Technology. Additionally, it reportedly intends to spend up to $3 billion in privately held Lancium, a Blackstone-backed energy and data center infrastructure startup that hopes to go public as early as next year. In exchange for a 20% interest, Nvidia is investing $2 billion initially, and if the business fulfills certain goals, it may add an additional $1 billion. Notably, Lancium owns the 1.2 gigawatt Lancium Clean Campus in Abilene, Texas, the location of the $500 billion public-private Stargate project, which aims to construct a network of cutting-edge data centers and next-generation AI infrastructure. Given the enormous need for data centers and AI computing power, Nvidia's $3 billion investment might pay off handsomely for investors in chip sales, as well as Lancium's overall expansion, since Nvidia would own a 20% share in the energy data center infrastructure business. Let's examine Nvidia in more detail. On August 26th, the company will release its fiscal 2027 second quarter earnings. In the competition to develop AI infrastructure, Nvidia has undoubtedly emerged victorious. The company's $5.4 trillion valuation is primarily based on GPUs, which are packed in hundreds to provide the processing capacity required for complex calculations. Machine learning, agentic AI, and generative AI are now feasible thanks to Nvidia's GPUs. GPUs and CPUs can share memory space and operate more effectively thanks to its next-generation architecture, Vera Rubin, which makes use of NVLink chip-to-chip interconnects. Shares have risen 24.1% in the last year, outpacing the S&P 500 index's 20.1% gain. Notably, Nvidia's forward price-to-earnings ratio of 24.75 times is comparable to the market's ahead price-to-earnings ratio of 21 times. In other words, you are currently paying a very small premium to having Nvidia stock in your portfolio. When Nvidia releases its earnings on August 26th, analysts anticipate another strong quarter. The street is anticipating earnings of $2.01 per share, a rise of 103.03% from a year ago, according to the consensus estimate of 11 analysts surveyed. The fact that Nvidia sets an absurdly high standard and consistently meets it is one of the reasons its stock keeps rising. For the past 4 quarters, Nvidia has exceeded analyst projections, and there's no reason to think this won't happen again. Revenue increased by 85% from the previous year to $81.6 billion in the first quarter of fiscal 2027. Sales of data centers, which increased by 92% to $75.2 billion, were once again the largest contributor. In the most recent quarter, Nvidia recorded non-GAAP net income of $45.54 billion and gross margins of 75%. Analyst projections of Water's 70 cents per share were exceeded by earnings of $1.87. Huang has once again made headlines as the company gets ready for Q2 earnings. This week, he revealed that Nvidia is investing with a number of financial firms, including Blackstone, BlackRock, Apollo Asset Management, Brookfield Asset Management, Goldman Sachs, and KKR and Company. To help with the AI build-out, Wall Street firms and Nvidia are attempting to raise over $500 billion in outside funding. According to Huang, the initiative suggests that investors should reevaluate AI computing, as reported by CNBC. According to him, technological chips are now an investable asset class for the first time. These investments now generate income. They are long-lasting, flexible, fungible, and prolific. The Wall Street push indicates a possible fresh tailwind for Nvidia stock if Huang can successfully make the argument for cash flush Nvidia this month. AI compute is becoming into a investable asset class, according to CEO Jensen Huang, as the business collaborates with some of the biggest financial institutions in the world to raise over $500 billion in outside funding for AI infrastructure. CEO Jensen Huang challenges the conventional wisdom that GPUs quickly deteriorate by claiming that Nvidia processors are now productive, long-lasting, transportable, and increasingly necessary to contemporary infrastructure. Hyperscalers, AI labs, and businesses may be able to finance significant AI initiatives without only depending on their own balance sheets, thanks to the funding. The endeavor is currently viewed by many experts as a significant advancement in financial engineering and a possible new asset class. However, when newer chip generations emerge and big tech's massive AI capital expenditures put pressure on cash flows, the strategy's viability is called into doubt. Nvidia's remarkable long-term stock gains have solidified its standing as one of the major winners of the surge in AI investment. The stock has increased by 976.5% over the last 5 years, so an investor who kept the shares at that time would have seen their investment increase many times. The performance in more recent times has been much more quantifiable. Nvidia's year-to-date YTD gain is 20.7%, while over the last 52 weeks it has gained 23.9%. Although Nvidia's long-term trend is still remarkable, the company has experienced bouts of correction as investors consider its high valuation, significant capital expenditures on AI, and the durability of hyperscalers' GPU demand. Momentum has improved more recently. After the previous sell-off, investors seem to regain faith in Nvidia's AI infrastructure approach, which led to a 3% increase in the company's shares on August 12th. Given that Nvidia had dropped 2.9% on August 10th, following the initial announcement of the $500 billion fundraising proposal, and somewhat on August 11th, the August 12th increase was especially noteworthy. Some investors were concerned that financing Nvidia's clients might not be a good idea or reflect fresh demand. However, the following rebound indicates that investors were growing more at ease with the financing push's strategic justification. Nvidia's price-to-earnings ratio of 24.75 times future is now lower than both the historical average and its industry peers. On May 20th, Nvidia released its first quarter fiscal 2027 results, demonstrating yet another outstanding quarter and solidifying its position as the industry leader in the quickly expanding AI infrastructure sector. Nvidia reported record sales of $81.6 billion for the quarter that concluded on April 26, 2026, an 85% YOY rise, while net income increased 211% YOY to $58.3 billion. Earnings per share, EPS, exceeded analyst expectations on a non-GAAP basis, rising 140% from the previous year period to $1.87. The company's strong pricing power and advantageous AI product mix were highlighted by the non-GAAP gross margin, which increased to 75% from 60.8% a year earlier. Additionally, Nvidia's largest growth driver continued to be the data center division, with revenue rising 92% year-over-year to a record $75.2 billion, while computer revenue made up the remaining $60.4 billion. Data center networking revenue increased 189% year-over-year to $14.8 billion. Demand for gaming GPUs, autonomous driving, robotics, and AI-enabled edge devices drove a 29% year-over-year increase in edge computing revenue to $6.4 billion. Additionally, management emphasized growing prospects in agentic AI and enterprise AI infrastructure, as well as the quickening use of Blackwell systems. Nvidia also released an optimistic projection for the second quarter of fiscal 2027, estimating a non-GAAP gross margin of roughly 75% and revenue of $91 billion, give or take 2%. Because of the continued export limitations in the United States, the guideline assumes no contribution from China data center compute income, with analysts predicting EPS growth of 92.3% YOY to $8.79 in fiscal 2027 and another 38% increase to $12.13 in fiscal 2028. Street anticipates that Nvidia's success will continue. The consensus EPS estimate for Q2, which will be released on August 26th, is $2.01, up 103% year-over-year. On August 11th, Wells Fargo reaffirmed its overweight rating for Nvidia and upheld its $350 price target, indicating that it is still confident in the chipmaker's potential for long-term AI infrastructure. Through finance platforms and AI factory optimization, analyst Aaron Rakers contended that Nvidia is gradually presenting itself as more than just a provider of semiconductors, extending its involvement within the larger AI infrastructure ecosystem. Additionally, Bank of America continued to designate Nvidia as its top semiconductor sector selection, maintaining its buy rating and $350 price target. The company's optimistic outlook is a reflection of its faith in Nvidia's leading position in AI infrastructure and the sustained high demand for its data center solutions. Nvidia is rated as a strong buy overall. 43 of the 47 analysts that cover the stock recommend a strong buy, 3 recommend a moderate buy, and 1 gives a strong sell rating. Nvidia's average analyst price target is $304.32, suggesting a possible 35% increase. Additionally, the stock may rise as much as 121.9% based on the street high target price of $500.